Welcome to NRL 360 Rugby League from every angle, brought to you by Regain. Joining me again, the great Gordon Tallis, Dan Ganane and Dave Riccio, and the finals are only 2 days away and every game is right here on Fox League, starting on Friday with Storm up against the Bulldogs. Saturday, it's the Warriors v the Panthers, followed by the Sharks up against the Roosters, and Sunday, finishing in style, the Raiders home to the Broncos. And guys...
Braith, I got goosebumps. Yeah. Braith, I got goosebumps after that. Can I suggest we cancel this show and play that another 12 times? I don't think there'll be a single complaint. That was bloody unbelievable.
Yeah. How good was it?
Can we get Matty Nable up on stage with Teddy Swims
yes.
right before the grand final? Get everyone pumped up.
Teddy Swims, you're a big fan of Teddy
Yeah, massive
Swims.
fan of Teddy. I went and watched him. He was a bit underground playing in Brisbane a couple of times and got some really cool music. Went up a fair him. He's got a fair bit of grunt to him.
Alternative music scene, eh, Gordy? You into that sort of stuff?
No, it's just a good concert. He's a great concert. He's better than Taylor Swift in my eyes. Last night I said I didn't like her.
I tested him, Braith. I thought he was BSing me. You know, he rattled through all the songs. He's a proper fan.
I'm actually a big fan of him too. I think he's going to be awesome.
He's really cool.
Being dead
once
serious.
you see him once, you'll never forget.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Now, Cameron Ciraldo shakes up the spine again with Mahoney AXED, and Toby Sexton recalled back into the team. Guys, this come as a bit of a shock, I think, to all of us today.
Yeah, absolutely it did. I didn't see it coming. As far as this change that we anticipate will unfold for Friday night's match, Mahoney out of the final 17, Toby Sexton onto that bench. It's a significant change. I mean, I just didn't think we'd see Toby Sexton again.
Yeah.
But here he is getting one more chance.
Dan, what do you think of this?
There's mind games going on between these two coaches, right? Because Canterbury will look at the Melbourne lineup and think Meaney at fullback, Chan at centre, Munster at 6, that might change. Wishart, they're thinking Pezzett might be the 7. And now Canterbury have returned serve. It's a strange decision to have a halfback who doesn't play dummy half. I'm sure he can fill a role, but it's not like he's a versatile player that could go into fullback, go into 13 if needed. He's a pretty diminutive player. Are they planning to play 16 and only use Sexton in case of emergency?
I made some phone calls on this today, fellas. And last week, when the changes need to be made with the Bulldogs, it was Bronson Cherry that suffered the HIA, had to come from the field. That forced Bailey Hayward out to the centres. The feeling from the Dogs was they brought Mahoney into that dummy half role. They felt as though they lost their middle a little bit and their way in communication. They believe Hayward is much more dominant communicator than what Reid is. And the changes this week is about, if we do have another injury, we don't want to move Hayward, but we have halves cover with Toby Sexton.
So then Burton can go out into the centre.
Burton would be the change. Burton would be the change and slot in at centre.
After 3 seasons there, Mahoney on the eve of the finals, people saying he should be starting more so than being on the bench. Yeah. He gets chopped completely out of the team. Now, you talk about people, we're talking the likes of Cameron Smith, the greatest 9 of all time, who was calling for him to start. You don't think do you think this is the right move? I know you've spoken to people at the club, obviously, but...
Yeah, Braith, I think it's a massive call. There's no doubt about it.
Is it the right call, though?
Well, yeah, I'll back Cameron Ciraldo in.
Okay.
I will.
Geez, Canterbury have mastered the dark art of manipulation, of getting a narrative out there. I'm not saying it's wrong with Mahoney, but you said it, Braith. He's been there 3.5, 4 years. Now, all of a sudden, he's a bad communicator. He might have been the whole time. But it's funny when they need to push a story. All of a sudden, Toby Sexton, we heard about a first half in Canberra where he did nothing, and then all of it, that was the catalyst. I don't love it, but it is the dark art of getting a story out there.
You can't deny there's been a progression in those 3 years that you guys are referencing in Bailey Hayward. We've seen an emergence of Bailey Hayward.
Listen, I agree with you.
If you listen to the players...
Has the progression been that good for Mahoney to be dropped? In his form of late? If
you talk to the playing group, they talk to a dummy half that communicates and drives the team.
The playing group also backed Galvin and said that, and didn't back Sexton, and now he's back in the team.
Yep, I agree with you. I can only take it on the Hayward point of view They feel like he's a superior communicator to than what Reid is. The other key point is discipline, guys. In big matches, discipline counts. You cannot afford to give away cheap penalties.
Knowing what your teammate's going to do counts more. So I know discipline it's massive. You can't do repeat sixes, but to take Reid Mahoney out there in the middle, in the heat of the battle, in the first 20 minutes when the whips are going and everything's going crazy, and you got that guy out there, I know what he was going to toss up. And the unknown, and that's why the Raiders, we think Brisbane, because more players have been in finals, and it's a bit of unknown against the Raiders. With Reid Mahoney, I reckon I'd know what I'm going to get.
I think Reid Mahoney's improved a lot with his discipline this year, like astronomically. When I think of Reid Mahoney, I think of a tough defender, puts his body on the line for the club. I think of good service off the deck. He provides very good service for his men. He's very reliable. He's fit. And he's played finals before, and I just think it's a bit odd, you know. Like, I'm going for the Bulldogs. I want them to win, but I think it's odd, and you know, I just want to bring it back to the, you know, let's look at the big picture here. You know, Sexton is now back in the team, and Mahoney is not even in the 17.
They can tell you a story. You just don't have to believe it. It wasn't broken, the Dogs. If it was broken and they were outside of the 8 and they needed to make changes and they got into it, they were coming first with their 9 and 7.
Was noticeable the game against Penrith a couple of weeks ago against the New South Wales Cup team. As soon as Mahoney came on, the service got better and smarter. Braith, I'm going to ask you some questions if I can, because you're former Bulldogs number 6.
Thanks, mate.
Is Hayward a better 13 than 9 right now? They clearly believe Hayward is an 80-minute player, and probably with good reason, because he's been very, very good.
Hayward was very good at 13. At 9, I'd say he's more of a 13. I think it's more of a stopgap right now. I don't think, you know, even Bailey would have thought he was a genuine 9 before the season. That's what I'm saying, you know. And with 13, he can play like a half, but be a runner of the ball, and he was really effective when he was doing that. He's a very good 9. Don't get me wrong, but if you were to say one or the other, I'd probably go 13.
Would this be the perfect week? No Bronson Xerri to say, look, we're going to put Burton in the centres. It's not our ideal scenario. Burton in the centres, Galvin to 5'8", Sexton to halfback. And hey, they don't swallow their pride because they're being forced into a move like this because of injury. Is this not the... They've got a second chance. If they get it wrong, they can bounce back.
Boys, I don't know where you feel as though Cameron Ciraldo listens to the noise. This is a guy that beats to his own drum and has done so ever since he's taken over the job of the Bulldogs, as far as tipping, with Gus, mind you, tipping out players, moving the roster around and going in and getting the roster that he wants to try and find success. I don't see swallowing pride, Dan. I don't even see it as a factor for this coach, to the point of which we're seeing, like, there's a reason they've just extended him to this massive deal.
Yeah, he deserves it.
They are going chips in, and whatever he decides they're backing. On this occasion,
I don't think any of us, none of us are questioning him as his ability as a coach or his future in this game as a coach. He is an amazing coach and will be one of the great coaches of our game.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you get everything right, you know.
Hey, no way, I'm with you on that, for sure.
And I would say,
and he's still in his infancy as a coach.
He is, and I would say this, that this whole panel, this whole time, has said the same thing. We back Cameron, we trust Cameron.
Absolutely.
Whatever decision he makes, he knows better than us.
Yep.
And I still
doesn't stop us from having an opinion.
It doesn't mean he's got this right as we're watching it unfold at the minute.
Yep.
And if they go out in straight sets, what do you say then?
Well, it hasn't worked, has it?
Yeah. So that's the pressure that it carries. And you know, yes, he beats to his own drum, and he does an amazing job of doing that. But this is big. You know, this is really big.
No team will get a better chance to beat Melbourne in a qualifying final. Melbourne have never been this vulnerable in a top 4 situation. Normally, it's a death march. You can't. Canberra did it once, but apart from that, you can't beat Melbourne in a qualifying final. Melbourne get the week off, prelim at home. They're on their way. They are so vulnerable this week, and that's why the spotlight's on the Dogs here. This is a chance.
I want to come back to you, Dave, because I know you've spoken to people at the Dogs. So I just want to flush it out a little bit more with the Sexton, how they're going to use him. He's obviously starting off on the bench. The reason he got dropped was because they needed more points and more creativity, and they thought Galvin provided that.
Yep.
How are they going to use him?
Braith, I firmly believe he's the fourth bench player. And I say that respectfully. We see teams sometimes not using their fourth bench player. I think he's the emergency player. Again, should they suffer an injury in their back line, they can move Burton out there and bring Sexton into the halves. We've seen quality teams do this in the past. The Panthers with Brad Schneider. Cogger did it for Penrith in the grand final. Nico Hines for a period with the Melbourne Storm.
Queensland do it in state of
Backup halves on your bench. It's not out of the ordinary.
But he's got to be prepared to put his head in and go play in the middle.
So
that's what you've got to do.
It's a good point, Gordy, because interestingly in New South Wales Cup where Sexton has been playing, he's been jumping into 9 as well.
Yeah.
So I feel as though this has been potentially on the cards as a possibility for some time.
Yeah, what do you guys think of it?
Just as long as he's prepared. Like, I always think it's a luxury. Queensland have done it with a lot of success. But if you can carry a number 7 on your bench, or like a bloke that can play in the halves, but he's prepared, if everything's going, he's got to jump in the middle and defend in the middle. That's the hardest thing. But if you can defend in the middle, you carry those guys on the bench.
You think a coach has got too clever for himself and you think, what the hell is he putting that player on the bench? Then you see Reece Walsh get knocked out in a state of origin, and look, Selwyn Cobbo's just there to come on. All of a sudden it makes sense. So, I kind of think it's superfluous, but, if Burton goes down in the first 5 minutes, he's a genius.
Fellas, I've got to say, I appreciate it. They are the biggest spotlights. Lachlan Galvin, Reid Mahoney, Toby Sexton, and the focus on the dog's spine. I get it. But where's Matt Burton? It's his time.
And Crichton.
He really needs to stand
And
up
kick
now. It's been he's been very much the key half for this team for the longest period. And in this game, he's the one that can shift the momentum of the game through his kicking game. When he runs with force and dominance, he can beat anyone. And it's, for me, Matt Burton is the spotlight player as much as any of those other
He's the spotlight
fellas.
player, but he's also got the 9 and 7 inside of him, to help him be the spotlight player and to bring the best out of Matt Burton. He needs help. Matt Burton, whenever he plays well, the Bulldogs tend to win games. And when he's had his best games, they've won. There hasn't been a shadow of a doubt around that. So it is a big game for Matt, but it's also a big game for his halves partner. It's a big to go into the finals with all this going on, and you do have Sexton on the bench now. Now Sexton, I think, can come on and straighten up their attack, which I spoke about last night, and he can play as a 9 or a 7. His kicking game's fantastic, and even when he played 9 before, he was dropped. When he moved, when Galvin come off the bench, they won that game. I think it was against Parramatta, and he was really effective when he played in that 9 position. What happens if Galvin doesn't start the game well, or is there any chance of that happening? Him coming on a 7?
Of him starting the game well, there's a chance.
Mate, if Galvin's struggling throughout the game, could he put him on at 7?
There's the option there, isn't there? And imagine that.
That's what I mean.
Imagine
The irony.
Look, everyone you talk to at the Dogs is backing Galvin to get the job done. So, look, he would have to be having a howler for Sexton to get on.
It's a big game.
Isn't it such a
hooking
big game? Galvin for Sexton.
I just find it all
That's
so
rugby league, baby. Imagine that story.
It's so fascinating.
I know it's self-created. He came to the club, Galvin. He's a kid, halfway through the year, and the Bulldogs rushed him in, but I still get the feeling he's learning who he is.
Yeah, of course.
The 3 games before Melbourne a few weeks ago, 3 games, he ran it 7 times total, so 2 a game. Against Melbourne, he ran it 16 times. He's working out how he fits into this side. It's a tough time
on the run
to learn how to actually fit into this system.
They haven't found the dynamic or the balance, and they've got to find it this week.